Abhairaj, can I know which batch you belong to? So good evening, all. Am I audible? Anybody here knows? Just now there was a candidate, right? Abhay Raj. Does he belong to the same batch? Anybody knows? Like anybody friend of him? Okay. I don't think so. Anybody here or a friend of him. So let us proceed. I had asked to write a program on the scenario which I had given, right? Have you people written the program for that? Okay. Have you achieved polymorphism in that or simply written the program? Let me share the screen and ask for this. Did you write the program? By achieving a polymorphism. Okay, if in case we have to achieve polymorphism, usually we first created this cargo plane and then the passenger plane as well as the fighter plane, whatever the order you maintain, it could be any order, there is no issue. Only thing is that we have to achieve polymorphism for this case. If that is the thing, then I would just go back to the program. I have given the statements. So if you notice, here is the parent class called as a plane, and within this we have the other mechanisms like a takeoff, fly, land. I still notice that few people are logging in without their batch name. Rishi, Amit Ranjan, could you please rename yourself by starting with your batch name, FS17? If you're not renaming it, only thing is your attendance will not be monitored. You would be considered as absent. So the moment you log in, you have to rename. Rishi, please rename yourself. Okay. So in this class, whatever methods we have, that is take off, fly, land, all such methods I should be overridden. So we have a class called as passenger plane. I am not happy with that parent class method. So I have changed the behavior of it by telling it as passenger plane is a taking off. This is the information which I have given from medium sized runaway. So whatever it is, but different behavior is what I have given. Then for fly and the land, the same way for cargo plane, I have given three different messages to override the land, fly, and the takeoff method. Fighter plane, again, I have overridden and I've given the different messages where I have told I would not be using such method which has been given by the parent. Then comes to the main method. If in case I have to achieve a polymorphism, I told using this child class or whatever the child object you have created, and if you are providing child type reference, this type of process we call it as what? Tight coupling, right? Child type object, child type reference. If child type object will have the child type reference, then we will not be able to achieve polymorphism. Or if tight coupling exists, we cannot achieve polymorphism. So we need to achieve a loose coupling. Let me just create a parent type, plain type P, like this. You can directly create it here now, but I am creating it here where I would tell whatever the duty of object, maybe I would tell a parent type reference which we have, let it take care of that passenger plane, whatever it is doing. Like this, I would assign, and using this reference, I would tell call all these methods. Similar to this, now I would tell a plane type reference P should be now taking care of that cargo plane object, and I would tell to achieve polymorphism. The same way I would now give it to fighter plane, and I would tell please take care of all such behavior of fighter plane. What is that I'm doing? There is no difference in coding. Whatever you did in the previous approach to achieve polymorphism, the same thing I'm doing it here. Correct? Any doubts still here? Okay. Let me just compile the code. No issues. When I try to execute, as usual, whatever class methods I have called, their respective behavior is visible. Agree? That particular, instead of parent class methods, as expected, I am getting all that overridden behaviors of child class. Now you might be thinking that, ma'am, whatever we expected output we are getting, then there is no problem here, right? But what is the heading I have given for this program? Polymorphic version without code reduction and flexibility, correct? Polymorphic version without code reduction and flexibility. What does that mean? I don't think so. I should be explaining you what is code reduction. Code reduction means, now just understand, we have three methods here: take off, fly, land. Means parent have 3 methods, and in child, I am overriding all such 3 methods. What is the situation? Parent class has 3 methods, and in the child class, I am overriding all such 3 methods. Assume in the parent class, if there are 25 methods and all such 25 methods should be overridden in this passenger plane, should be overridden in the cargo plane, and should be overridden in the fighter plane. When we have to change the behavior, it is our duty to override it and give the behavior. That I cannot reduce it. But if you see or look towards this scenario, don't you think all these lines, which is there for 3 methods, will now increase for 25 times since you have the 25 methods? Means separately 25 times I should call for first object. Separately 25 times I should call for second object. Separately 25 methods I should call for third object. Agree? Means how many methods are present in the parent class? All such methods has to be overridden. That is a scenario. In that case, if parent class methods has n number of methods, 20, 35, 45, and what would be your situation where you would have to be calling all such methods here in this class, which is tedious task or which is hectic task for all the human beings, where your code will start increasing line by line if you go for the same approach. So in polymorphism, there is a way of coding it also. How is that? There is a flexibility that we can create one generalized class. So since we are considering the situation that is fighter plane, cargo plane, and all this passenger plane, let me take generalized class to be a airport. Like this, I would consider within this one method, I would consider, maybe I would tell this method to be permit. You can consider it to be any other name also. There is no restriction, but I would tell it to be a permit here. This permit method of airport class will accept one parameter. What type of parameter? Maybe I would tell it should accept a plane type of a parameter. I repeat, one generalized class I have created. In that one method I am writing it. Any method, it's not a condition that you have to tell this only as a class name, this only as a method name, nothing, no restriction. You can give any name. For this method, I am passing one parameter that is of parent reference. Using this parent reference, instead of telling it 3 times, I would tell once you should call takeoff method. Next, you should call fly method. Then you should be calling land method. Like this, I would be calling 3 methods here. When I call 3 methods here, I have already created a parent type reference. So I would remove this statement here in the child class. I mean in the normal class where the main method is written. After which I would now create a airport class object, naming it to be A. Airport type object, which is called to be A here. And using this A, I would try to access permit method. I would try to access permit method. If you have to access this permit method, think and answer. You are creating the object, okay, because you have this permit method inside the airport. After that, using a reference, you are calling this permit method. That is also fine. But which type of permit method are you calling? You are calling permit method without value. Don't you think the permit method which you have it in your program has a one parameter? Then you should also pass one value here. You should also pass one value here. What is that value? I would pass child type object value or a child reference. You can either tell PP here or you can directly create object like this. You can directly pass object like this instead of writing all these three lines. That also you can do it, still do it. But since you are comfortable with this way of writing, initially get used to this only. After which again I would call a permit method. This time I would tell whatever the cargo plane is doing, you do that job. Finally, I would call the same permit method which would take up a duty of a fighter plane. All these lines which I have written, now it is not required. Means, irrespective of any number of methods, you need not tell. If it is 3 object, 25 methods are there. 25 into 3 is what you have to type it. But in this approach, you would get that level of flexibility in the code. You can call only once for all the objects and your respective methods will be executed. Let me check really will it work or not. No issues. When I try to execute, don't you think I'm getting the same output as previous? Output wise, there is no change. It is just the same. What is the change? The way of coding it. Instead of me giving the instructions in the format of one by one, I utilize the concept of a code reduction and flexibility. First of all, the code is reduced. I am not calling three times for each object. I'm just calling only once the method. Once the control comes here, automatically your machine is calling first time for passenger plane, next for cargo plane, next for fighter plane. That flexibility I am able to achieve. And this is how we will be writing the programs. Is it clear? The approach, did you understand? Yes, take the heading as polymorphic version with code reduction and flexibility. Polymorphic version with code reduction and flexibility. Under that, write down this example. Rest of the lines are just the same. I'm not showing you the details. You have already written for the previous example also. For that heading which I have given now, do write down this. I hope it is completed. So the same way, I would now consider the different classes. You have to do it the same way how I have created new class in a generic way I have written, right? With the code reduction and flexibility. You have to be writing it for these methods. I mean, these objects which I am, the demonstration which I'll be doing, right? For that, you should be writing the code. So you can just have the note of this diagram as it is. So I would now consider the animal class as well as whatever the class previously I have told. I will let me remove them. So inside this class, I would now tell there are several methods. Maybe I would tell it to be a eat method, and there is a sleep method. Not only that, there is a food habit method. There is a food habit method. All these methods, what we have it in this parent class called as animal, will now be overridden in all the child classes listed here. So if you ask me what are the child classes, as we have previously done the program similar to this, I would now tell this is a class called as the deer, this is a class called as a tiger, and the final class I would tell it to be a monkey class. Just make a point of this, and you should be writing the program with code reduction and flexibility. Just take a screenshot. So that generic class which you will create, what is the name you will give for this scenario? Yes, we can give jungle, we can give forest, any of the names. It is up to you. But only thing is you have to create one other class and you have to design it. It's up to you, any of the class. Is it clear? Only thing that you will get a knowledge how can you achieve this polymorphic version with code reduction and flexibility. Do it at the later part. Just take the next heading. Next heading. As rules of just a minute. So take down rules of method overriding. So first of all, tell me what is method overriding. Tell me what is overriding. What is method overriding? Even for testing, it is important. If you don't know what is method overriding and overloading, there also it would be a kind of difficult for you. So think and answer what is
Ma'am, process of writing multiple methods with same method signature but different behavior.
same method signature, but
Different behavior.
good. So you can understand this whenever we are writing or achieving inheritance in the child class, we can have the same behavior whatever is present in the parent class. Else we can change the behavior. When we change the behavior of the method which I have been received from the parent class, say suppose if you consider now, if you look towards this, a demo 1 is a parent class and demo 2 is a child class, and in this demo 2 I don't want to use the same method which same method body which is given by the a parent class. So I would like to change the behavior. So what I would do is, I would now tell this way that the same method signature I should be using as it is. If you tell that the method add with one parameter, then immediately you should be having one parameter in the child class, correct? This is what you have understood till now. But there are several rules which you have to understand. Maybe I would tell this way: whenever you are trying to override the whatever the modifier you are using, right? So say suppose, which modifier has the highest visibility? Which modifier has the highest visibility?
Public.
It is public, right? Which has the least visibility?
Private.
Or don't unmute, put it in the chat box. So it is private. Let me ask the question this way. Default has the highest visibility, or protected has the highest visibility? Default only within the same package, but don't you think protected has a highest visibility as compared to default, because it is accessible in the other package also if it is a child class? Yes. Okay, you can neglect them because we don't consider protected and default in our most of the program. Only in the hierarchy it is protected. But the other way, if I ask, public you have and you have the private. So both are two different ends. One has the highest visibility, the other one has the least visibility. In that case, one rule or the first rule of your method overriding says, like this, you can write a code, which means while overriding, you can have same modifier, or I would say you should have same modifier. If not, you can change the modifier. But while overriding, the visibility can increase but cannot be decreased. For example, you have public, which means you have the same modifier while overriding. But if in case I remove like this, now which modifier am I using while overriding? If I don't write anything, it is considered as default modifier, right? So think and answer. Parent has the visibility or the highest visibility, but don't you think I have reduced the visibility when it comes to the child? I have made it as default, only available only within this package. So which says that whenever I am overriding, I can have the same modifier, but I can also increase the visibility, but I cannot reduce the visibility. This is an invalid statement, or you would be getting it as compilation error. So write down in your notes, take it as rule number 1. When a parent class method is being overridden, is being overridden in the child class, is being overridden in the child class. The overridden method, the overridden method, the overridden method should maintain the same modifier, should maintain same modifier as that of the parent class, as that of the parent class, or it must or it must increase the or it must increase the access, or it must increase the access. However, the access cannot be, however, the access cannot be decreased or restricted Below that, have the same example in your notes. So after this, do observe now. So you have understood now, while overriding, the modifier should be same, or it cannot be decreasing. You can increase the visibility. For example, you have told in the parent class, maybe I'll just scroll it up and I would tell, you have told default in the parent and you can tell public in the child. Don't you think now you are increasing the visibility? Default has less visibility as compared to public. This way you can write it. The other way you cannot write it. So how is that? In parent, whatever visibility you have given, in child should be same or it should be more than that. This is how you have to understand. I'll put back the statement. Now coming back to the second rule, let me now tell you this way. Same class I would consider. So while overriding, this is the process that whatever you tell it as method signature, the same thing should be there in the child also. So while overriding that, you should also remember about the return type. This is the return type which we have it in the parent class. In the return type, if in case you have told as void, in child, you cannot change the return type and give the return value here like this. We don't call this to be a method overriding. You are breaking the rule of method overriding, where while overriding, whatever the return type you have used in the parent class, the same type it should be there in the child type. If not, it projects an error. You give float here and you give int, it will not accept. Means if you tell float, it should be float in the child class only. So I can tell, while overriding the parent class method, while overriding the parent class method in the child class, a return type should be same. The return type should be same, in bracket, return type cannot be changed. Return type cannot be changed. Have this example in your notes quickly. So in this, I think two of them have asked why it written one here. I hope the types of methods we have discussed, where in the types of methods, every method will have a name, input, a body, and the return type, correct? If in case you tell any value to be returned, you can write here as void. Is it possible? The return types. I have taken a separate session for this in the initial sessions. So you should be telling whatever the value you are returning, that type you should be telling it here. So basically we are trying to override. While overriding, I have given the different behavior. Because of that, there I am telling that return value 1. When I say return value 1, that type also I should be mentioning, and this way of coding is not valid or is not possible while overriding is what I'm telling. So this way you cannot write it. If you are writing it, it should be void only, and you should not return any value. You should not return the statement like this. Then only it will accept. Any other thing you can give it in a body, but you should never change this syntax. Hope it is clear. Below this, write down just a note. Just a note. Note. The overridden method. The overridden method in the child class. In the child class. The overridden method in the child class can have a different type from the parent class provided between the return type there exist return type there exists is a relationship. The overridden method in the child class can have different type from the parent class provided between the return type there exists is a relationship. Can you tell me data types can have a is a relationship? Like, can I tell a float is a child of integer, or integer is a child of float, or double, something like that? Will that be possible? See, read the statement what I have given. The overridden method in the child class means I am saying the overridden method in the child class can still have a different return type. What was the second rule? You cannot have the different return type. Still, you can break that rule provided between them there should be a is a relationship, or between that return type there should be a is a relationship. Then how is this possible using the data types? I would tell you again, using data types it's not possible, but there is something called as, to write down, such return type is called as covariant return type. Such return type is called as covariant return type, and it is introduced you can tell it as it was introduced into Java It was introduced into Java from JDK 1.5 onwards. From JDK 1.5 onwards. Highlight this covariant return type. What is this covariant return type? In the later class, we will be discussing. But as of now, you should have this definition. What is this covariant return type? There exists a is a relationship between the return types also. How is that? How should we be writing it? We will understand in the future sessions. So just have that point and mark it as important. So by this point, I would conclude it. We'll have the further discussion in the next class. But before I proceed with the next class, I want everybody to revise thoroughly and come back. As I mentioned long back, we are into the polymorphism where soon we will be starting with abstraction as well. Once we complete that, you are ready for the interview. Whenever I would say there is an interview, you should not give me the reason, ma'am, I have not revised, ma'am, I want one more day time. I cannot tell company that you require one more day time, right? So company will not accept. Okay, you went to your friend's birthday, friend's marriage, your marriage, all this reason, your company will not listen. So you should have that mindset. Whenever the drive is there, you should be ready until which topic has been covered. Keep this in your mind. Be prepared for the interviews. So you cannot do it on one day. One day miracle can never give you a good result. So just keep revising on the daily basis. Is it clear? Yes. Fine then. I'll halt my discussion now. Let us all meet tomorrow. Thank you. Have a great evening.